Yamana will be reading the news for you today. Stay tuned. Proceeding to the details. The humanitarian crisis in Tigray that has stayed for more than 500 days now continues to put the lives of millions of Tigrayans in danger as the deadly siege tightens. On a statement released by Catholic Eparchy of Adigrat, Abuna Tesfa Selassie Medhin, Bishop of Adigrat Eparchy, says compared to the magnitude and intensity of humanitarian crises in Tigray, the pace of delivery of humanitarian aid into the state isn't bringing any meaningful change to the people of Tigray. The bishop also condemned the ongoing genocidal atrocities committed on the people of Tigray, including the recent heinous extrajudicial killings of 11 people, in which 9 Tigrayans were burned alive on 3rd March of 2022 in Isid vicinity of Metakal zone in Benshangul Gumuz region. He also said that the accusations and critics made against few prominent religious leaders in the country, like His Holiness Abuna Mathias, are shocking and saddening. On the statement, the Catholic Church in Tigray calls for an immediate and unrestricted humanitarian aid and restore all due social services to the people of Tigray, the withdrawal of occupying forces from Tigray, and return of IDPs to their home villages and peaceful dialogue to end the genocidal war in Tigray. The 17th-month-long war and the total siege that followed have devastated every economic and social structure of Tigray. As a result, every household in Tigray is facing enormous problems as critical public services like electricity, banking, and telecommunications are terminated by Ethiopian government. Consequently, millions of Tigrayans are languishing in the face of man-made famine. Particularly, Tigrayan Muslims are suffering of extreme hunger in the time of Ramadan due to lack of basics resulted from the ongoing siege. Our reporter, Aragawi Garunkail, has visited Muslim family in Mala, the capital of Tigray, to observe their lives under siege at the time of Ramadan.
Sheikh Kasai Amara was a weaver. He used to lead his life and support his family in a good way before he lost his eyesight due to the chronic illnesses like diabetes and high blood pressure 5 years ago. Currently, Sheikh Kasai is leading a difficult life as he is not able to leave his bed even to go to the bathroom. His son, Awal Kasai, has this to say about the current miserable condition of his family.
My father used to be a weaver. Then one day he said he couldn't see anything and we took him to the hospital. But his eyesight couldn't be restored. On top of this, he is also suffering from illnesses like diabetes and high blood pressure. Currently, he couldn't even be able to control his urine. So I have to clean his bed every morning.
After Sheikh Kasai became a bedridden, his wife Rahmatu Muhammad Said took the responsibility to lead the family by selling spices and scents at the local market. However, the responsibility of taking care of her husband, coupled with the lack of money to buy commodities, forced her to stay at home for over 2 years now. Mrs. Ramatu describes her gloomy life as follows.
I have had no income for over 2 years now. I used to sell spices and scents at the local market. But after my husband became bedridden, I couldn't go anywhere leaving him behind. My life was not this bad while I was working, but as I stopped working for almost 3 years now, I have nothing.
In this time of Ramadan, which is the fasting month for all Muslims, the family of Sheikh Kasai are suffering from lack of food as they are not getting enough food to eat after the fasting day.
I'm fasting in Ramadan. I wish to eat whatever I get, either bread or something else, after the fasting hours. For today, I have a little flour over there. Otherwise, I have nothing.
Awal Kasai, who encountered a work accident while he was working at the Electric Power Corporation in Mekelle, said that he and his family members are suffering a lot as there is no one to help them after the death of his sister.
We used to help each other, especially before I encountered injury at my left hand. My mom had a job and my sister was alive and helping. But currently, we have no one to help us. We are the only ones that know what we have been going through. We are breaking our fasting with bread, if we get any, and this wasn't how we used to spend Ramadan before.
Mrs. Rahmatu, a mother facing multiple siege-induced problems, called for everyone to help her and her needy family.
I have a lot of problems challenging the existence of my family, so please help me, my fellow brothers and sisters. If I get a good help, I could feed and take my husband to the clinic, so I badly need your help now.
The month of Ramadan is the month of charity for the followers of Islam in every part of the world. So, as the people of Tigray are facing starvation due to the ongoing siege by the Ethiopian government, they are crying for help, as they are suffering from lack of very basics. And this is even harsher for Tigrayan Muslims, who have the duty of fasting in Ramadan.
The 8 months occupation of Tigray by allied Ethiopian and Eritrean forces was characterized by the deliberate destruction and looting of health facilities. This followed by a 9 months long siege that has prevented the entry of medical supplies and other basic items, has depleted life-saving medications across the state. Our reporters spoke with kidney patients in Eider Comprehensive Specialized Hospital who say that the lack of medical supplies has put their lives in danger. Salome Tigrai reports.
The first 8 months of the war on Tigray, marked by deliberate destruction and looting of health facilities, soon followed by a 9 months long siege that has blocked essential items including medical supplies from entering the region, has left a once promising health system in Tigray on the brink. We visited Eider Comprehensive Specialized Hospital, the largest referral hospital in Tigray, where patients suffering from kidney disease say that their lives are in danger as they are not receiving the appropriate dialysis service due to lack of dialysers.
There is no medication. There is nothing. Dialyzers are very important, but they don't exist. So the health professionals are reusing what they had because it is better than watching us die. We are in a very terrible situation. We can't know about our health status as we are unable to do our checkups. We are just waiting for our death.
The medical supplies that we need are non-existent. We are also depressed. We are worried about what to do and what tomorrow holds for us. We are waiting in line for death. We have seen many brothers and sisters die in front of our eyes here.
Dr. Efrem Berhe, an internist and nephrologist at Eider Comprehensive Specialized Hospital, says that many patients suffering from kidney disease are dying due to lack of materials and reagents required for dialysis.
The patients are not getting enough medication and enough dialysis service. Because of lack of materials needed for dialysis, patients who were previously in a good health status with the help of dialysis are now dying. As we speak, kidney patients that require dialysis are dying.
Chair for the Kidney Patients Association of Tigray, Mr. Haftam Abadi, on his part, says that 30 members of the association have lost their lives because of lack of supplies that resulted from the siege.
Kidney patients are suffering from economic, social as well as health problems. We've lost about 30 members and it is a matter of days before the numbers of members drops to zero. Members keep dying every day. So from now on, if there is ever going to be an association for kidney patients, a new one has to be formed, because the ones from this one are dying every day.
Lastly, the medical professionals and the patients called on the international community to help save the vanishing lives.
I ask the international community and everyone who cares about humanity to help us. The only thing I can say is save our lives. We are in a terrible situation, so please save our lives.
Save us, the international community, the World Health Organization and other health institutions need to help us now.
The situation we are in is very awful. The world has all the information it needs, so it is only right to take the right measures to save the lives of the patients.
Among the millions suffering due to the war and the all-encompassing siege on Tigray, people with special needs are the most vulnerable. Our reporters visited a boarding school for the visually impaired in Ma'ala and spoke to visually impaired students who were living under an extremely difficult situation. With the school out of service due to the war, students are scattered around, living with residents of Ma'ala at their homes or begging for food on the streets. Saron Sagay is with the details. Maqala Boarding School for the Visually Impaired was founded in 1993. The visually impaired students, who were once famous for scoring best results in their studies, are now unable to go back to school. But their biggest problem right now is not just being unable to go back to school. Rather, it's a question of surviving, living to see another day. Students with big dreams to be at a better place tomorrow are now finding it hard to be able to find a meal once a day. With the school out of service due to the war, students are scattered around living with residents of Maqala at their homes or begging for food on the streets.
Back then, we had a lot of dreams. I myself wanted to be a lawyer, but now, since our school is shut down, I'm not in a state where I can even remember my previous studies. I live in a rented house, but due to the situation in Tigray, they let me live for free. We have no income. We are unable to get food even once a day. We can't even afford a single bread for breakfast.
I wanted to be a prosecutor, but due to the war, I'm unable to continue my studies. I have no family to take me in, so I stay here. We spend days with no food, and sometimes we eat once a day if we get any. We are under an extremely difficult situation.
Director of boarding school, Mr. Solomon Araya, and teacher of special needs, Mr. Luul Taka, say the school was previously providing the students with good living condition and adequate education. The students had dreams to follow the footsteps of previous students of the boarding school and make a better life for themselves. But due to the war and all-encompassing siege on Tigray, students are under immense suffering.
They were getting every service here: food, education, shelter, everything. They had great self-esteem. They were doing great at their studies and had an amazing grades.
Our previous students were their idols because they landed on jobs as lawyers, teachers, and other occupations. So the current ones were following their footsteps.
Now we see them begging on the streets. It's heartbreaking. The aim of boarding school was to prevent this from happening, to educate them and prevent them from begging and being burdens to their families, to assist them to stand on their own. And now they are begging on the streets because they have no choice.
They are now scattered around, begging on the streets, sheltering at houses of random people who help them. So you can imagine how long this could last, since life is getting harder on everyone. They shelter at one home for a week and they go to another one. Breakfast, lunch, dinner have become luxury for them.
Lastly, the community of the boarding school called on the international community to put pressure on Ethiopian government to end the siege and allow urgently needed humanitarian aid into Tigray. They urge that the war must stop and that they need special attention since they are one of the most vulnerable communities in times of war.
Humanitarian access Diaspora Tigrayans and the international community need to put pressure on the government of Ethiopia to end the blockade and urgently allow humanitarian assistance. If aid is allowed in, our boarding school could start operating at least partially. That way we can survive.
As Tigrayans, we are all under suffering, but we need special attention as we are the most vulnerable at times like this.
The international community as a whole needs to understand the difficulty of the situation the students are in and help them get back to their previous conditions.
The genocidal war and the all-encompassing siege that has been imposed on Tigray has had a devastating impact on the entire population of the region. However, people with special needs have been the most affected segments of the society. Our reporters have spoken to community members at Sohinigus School of Special Needs at Maqala. Kabrom Al-Dabrahan has more.
School children with hearing impairment at Maqala Sohinigus School of Special Needs say that they are in dire situation as the starvation is getting worse due to the all-encompassing siege that has been imposed on Tigray. The children also said that they couldn't know the whereabouts of their families, following to the total communication ban for over 9 months now.
My father is dead. It is only I and my mother alive. We had a good life before, but now we are in desperate condition. Many of my friends have lost their parents. We all are being starved.
We couldn't know how our relatives are doing as there is no network in Tigray. Many mothers are crying. I wish this turmoil ends soon.
Michele is a teacher at Sarhangus School of Special Needs. He said that the genocidal war has directly affected the lives of people with disabilities in many ways, from being shot dead to starving to death.
Two disabled sons and a teacher from this special needs school have been killed last year during the occupation of the region by the invading forces just because they couldn't respond when the soldiers yelled at them.
Michele expressed his concern that what is happening in the region is worse on people with disability, as there are no caregivers who used to take care of them or give them job opportunities from which they can make a living.
Most of them used to earn their livings by doing some manual labors, like delivery service and car washing. But now they aren't attending school because they are in starvation, and they couldn't feed themselves by doing the usual business as they too are affected by the siege.
Michele calls on the international community to help stop the ongoing siege in Tigray and reach out to those people with disability who are in grave starvation.
A number of disabled students are not coming to school because of the hunger facing them, as well as the fear that drones might attack them. So the international community has to do something to help out, especially to people with special needs and hearing disabilities.
People with special needs are among the most vulnerable members of the community. The 9-month siege on Tigray that has blocked the entry of every essential aid into Tigray has depleted food stock and other essential items. Currently, people with disabilities in Mekelle, the capital of Tigray, are suffering from starvation as the ongoing siege has depleted basics in Tigray. Aragawi Garamkail has more.
Mrs. Kiros Mesfen is a resident of Mekelle who single-handedly takes care of her 3 children with autism. Kiros used to lead her life and support her children by washing clothes for other people. But currently she couldn't help her needy children as she herself is suffering from eyesight problem and other illnesses.
I have 4 children and 3 of them are living with autism. I'm also suffering from sight problems, so I'm spending the day sitting here. Previously, I used to wash clothes for other people and support my children. But after I started to experience a sight problem, I could not work. Now I'm facing a serious problem.
According to Mrs. Kiros, her children couldn't even understand her current problem due to their mental disorder they have. As a result, Mrs. Kiros is being challenged in handling her autistic children as they get angry at her whenever they feel hungry.
If they get anything to eat and drink, they don't cause any problem. They play, laugh, and I become happy and hopeful. But if they feel hungry, they disturb me. Especially him. He choked me. He could even throw fire on me.
Mrs. Kiros said that her personal problem coupled with the war on Tigray and the ongoing siege made her life to become gloomy and dark.
My life is narrower and darker. I know all the people of Tigray are currently suffering, but I think mine is the worst.
The current suffering of Miss Kiros and her disabled children is unimaginable. She said even sometimes her current problem made her to contemplate suicide.
I feel very bad about my current condition. Even sometimes I contemplated suicide, but then I think, what are they going to do without me? I feel very bad. I am in an extreme hardship.
Mrs. Kiros calls to all concerned bodies to help her as she is suffering a lot with her 3 children living with autism.
Please help me because I'm dying here and my 3 children who are living with autism. You are my people. You are my brothers and these children too are your children. So please help me save the lives of my family.
The siege in Tigray, which has lasted for over 500 days now, continues to claim the lives of thousands of Tigrayans and drive hundreds of thousands more to the brink. Yamana Bisirat, resident of Mekelle City, has lost his job as a construction worker and now is suffering from man-made hunger and triple chronic illnesses as he couldn't get medicine and food. Abraha Gauratansai reports.
Humanitarian crisis in Tigray has continued to worsen as the more than 500 days long siege in the region remains tightened As a result, thousands of Tigrayans are dying every day, and hundreds of thousands more are driven to the edge. Yamane Bisrat is married and a father of one child. He was a former member of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, who later retired and was engaged in construction work.
ኮንስትራክሽን የሰራህ ነረ ሰራቢክ የጽፍ ያው ቴራዞ ያው ሸክላ ሰሪ ማለት ተጠቃላላይ ኮንስትራክሽን የሰራህ ነረ ጽቡቅ ወናብሮ ይነር
ሺ5 ቅርሺ ካውታት ለዓቃብ ሒዚ አትነይሩ ካው ጽቡቅ መናብሮ ነርና ህዝ ትሪእና ለኻ አፈትና ገለመለ ሸጥና ይነና
ጽቡቅ ነርና ማር ነረ ካው አዝግን ጸጊምና
ትሪው ለኹም ነፍሰይ ምስጠገበሊ ወልዕ በቃ ካብ ሞት ላዚያ ለወጣኹም ኣብ ወርሒ ይገብር ሕጂ هذه اسمررني اوصله اليه اليك اداقون.
All these illnesses need food and medicine. I am in trouble now, as there is no food and medicine available.
Yamane and his family are in dire situation, and they called for help from everyone who can extend their helping hands.
I don't know when to die, but I feel death is approaching me. It can be today or tomorrow. There is no medicine and no food. I am in danger. Of course, many Tigrayans are in the brink. I call all Tigrayan diasporas to help us. You can see how severe my problem is. Please help.
The international community should help us. They should understand our problems. I don't want to lose my dad. Everyone should help us. We need food and medicine.
Yamane represents millions of Tigrayans who are suffering from man-made hunger and illnesses due to the ongoing siege in the region, which blocked entry of food, medicine, cash and fuel to Tigray, and shut down all the critical public